That day, it was a Tuesday. And every Tuesday, obviously I work, so Ciaran goes to his scallywag grandparents, as he calls them. And he always has his tea. And I remember him getting in the car and he said, I love you, Mummy, and I'll see you later.
Well, on the evening of the 17th of April, Ciaran and his little brother Riley came round to our house and we was making them tea. And Ciaran, as usual, went out to play football with his friends on the all-weather pitch, which is less than 5 minutes away from my house. When his tea was ready, I went out to get him.
My husband had only been gone about 10 minutes. Somebody come banging on the door, really banging on the door. And I couldn't carry Riley because of my disability, but I had to because I couldn't put him down. And I got to the door and a woman whose face I recognised but didn't know who she was said, "Is your Marika here?" I said, "No, Marika's at work." She said, "Well, get her, your Ciaran's really ill."
Must have been in work 10, 15 minutes, and I kept hearing my mobile going off in my bag, and I kept thinking, no one rings me continuously like that. And I remember saying to my supervisor, "Can I just use a landline and just ring home?" I said, because, see, my phone doesn't ring like that. And I rang home and my nephew was here. And I said, "Is Steff there?" I see my husband. And he said, "Something's happened to Ciaran. Marika's collapsed. Steff's gone out the house."
And my instant reaction was, "Oh, dear, what's he done now?" kind of thing, thinking he just fell over or something. He said, "No, they're carrying out CPR." And
the paramedic came. Nothing happened. I couldn't do anything. I used to stand there and look. I just kept saying, "Ciaran, Ciaran." But he never opened his eyes.
I had no idea what happened, and all I could do was try to shout his name, to try to bring him round, but I just couldn't.
So I got in the car and I travelled down with my husband, and I got to the hospital. I remember he was still moving the vehicle and I just flung the door open and I ran into A.e.d. And I just remember screaming, "My son's here, Ciaran, Ciaran." And she took me round the back. And I remember another lady coming out and she was crying. And I said, "Why are you crying? It's not good."
And then by the time we got to the hospital, I was certain by then our Ciaran would be sitting up.
And one of the senior doctors had come in to say that Ciaran was very, very poorly. And obviously they were shocking him, they put adrenaline in, and obviously she'd come back in a bit and obviously let me know what was going on.
Sitting in that waiting room, felt like it was a month, then it was a year, and then it was just like the nurse walked in.
And I remember her coming in and saying, "I'm sorry, he hasn't made it." And I just kept saying, "You're lying, you're lying, you're lying." I said, "Because he's going to come out there and he's going to come to his mummy." But he wasn't.
By the time I arrived to the hospital, I was greeted by the words that he'd gone.
It just seems so awfully wrong that a healthy little boy like that could go just like that.
The doctor said, "Would I like to go to the resuscitation room?" And he was just lying on the bed. And I remember putting my arms around him and I was shaking him, telling Ciaran that Mummy's here and he's got to wake up. And I think that's when my cousin came in, who was a staff nurse, and she was shouting to the senior doctor there, "Davey's still warm, save him." And it wasn't to that moment I realised Ciaran, he wasn't going to wake up and he wasn't going to come home to me again. The The reason why I started Ciaran's cause was during the weeks after Ciaran's passing, and the stories that were coming through about more children who were losing their lives to cardiac arrest. And then the likes of Fabrice Mwamba, which was a couple of weeks before Ciaran. His life was saved, but he had the vital equipment. No one else has. We haven't got it. There's no money out there to get it. So I was determined that I'm not going to see another child lose their life. And not only that, I don't want my son to have gone in vain and I've not done anything. I want his memory to live on, but I want the children to be safe in knowing they can go out and they can be active.
This afternoon we've just distributed 10 defibrillators to primary schools in Warrington. These have been donated by Ciaran's cause, who've raised money themselves in memory of Ciaran, and these defibrillators hopefully will prevent the same tragedy occurring to other youngsters in schools.
The reason why we want to distribute these defibrillators is so that it doesn't happen to any other child, or for that matter an adult, because it's not only children it affects, it does affect adults. It is different from a heart attack, which can be treated.
Cardiac arrest is when the heart stops pumping blood effectively around the body. Normally the heart is a good strong pump, and it pumps like this in a coordinated way, pushing blood around the body. When a cardiac arrest happens, the heart either stops pumping altogether or goes into an abnormal heart rhythm where it quivers rather than pumps effectively. In both situations, it doesn't generate any blood flow around the body. The person passes out and will die unless we can restore the heart's normal rhythm.
It's like they say, it doesn't matter about the size of donations, £1, £10, £100, £1,000. It doesn't matter, every single pound goes to
£1 could buy a defib.
Yeah, I mean, they're not cheap, £1,000 a go, but I mean, at the end of the day, when you think
child's life's priceless at the end of the day.
Of course it is, so, yeah. And nobody then, hopefully, would have to go through the heartache you and Marika and the family have gone through.
Yeah.
Defibrillators are easy to use. This is a defibrillator here that we have in the hospital. You have 2 patches. You can clearly see it tells you where to put them on the chest. One up here and one down here. Once those are on the chest, the defibrillator will analyse the heart rhythm, and if a shock is indicated, will tell you so. All you have to do then is press the button on the defibrillator and the life-saving electric shock will be given by the device. It will not allow you to give an electric shock where one is not needed, so you cannot do any harm.
My ultimate goal would be where you see a fire extinguisher, I want a defibrillator. I want them especially in schools. I want them in all sports centres.
It's only the tip of the iceberg for us, and we want a lot more funds to enable us to put these defibrillators in schools, in football teams, and places where they are needed most. So please, 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 if you can only give £1, it is worth every penny that you can afford. And all I can say is everybody that does that, thank you from the bottom of my heart.